told that we do know as to the Hobby Lobby case before the Supreme Court that Justice Alito also wrote that opinion. That suggests that the result is a conservative one, but we don't know yet. We're being told now that the Supreme Court has ruled that the government has failed to show that the mandate is the least restrictive way of advancing its interest in guaranteeing cost-free access to birth control. So it sounds like a defeat for Obamacare, a defeat for the Obama administration. You got a few more details there, Terry,
It
right?
says employers with religious objections can be allowed to refuse to pay for contraception.
Yeah, and that's been something that people have been following for months now. It's just been such a high-profile issue because of the interest in Obamacare and the interest in religious freedom. And the question was, well, what about these folks who own Hobby Lobby? They are against the morning after pill, essentially. They're not against condoms and regular birth control pills, but they are against birth control that amounts to after conception, then destroying the fetus in utero, and so it sounds like there's a big win for the folks who argue in favor of religious freedom in that context.
Yeah, the Fuller ruling says the Supreme Court says corporations can hold religious objections that allow them to opt out of the new health care requirement that they cover contraceptives for women. The 5-4 decision is the first time the High Court has ruled that profit-seeking businesses can hold religious views under federal law. Again, as you said, a blow to the Obama administration. This ruling means the administration has to look for a different way of providing free contraception to women who are covered under the company's health insurance plans. Contraception is among a range of preventive services that must be provided at no extra charge under the health care law that President Obama signed.
Yeah, and one of the big issues that people have been taking two opposite sides on is, on the one hand, should a business owner be able to exercise rights of freedom of religion? And it sounds like the Supreme Court, at least to a degree, is saying, yeah, they're entitled to do that. On the other hand, other folks said, well, gee, what do we, chopped liver? What about the employees? We don't really care what the boss thinks. Let's imagine, for example, the boss is a Christian Scientist, and he says, guess what? Obamacare? I don't think so. We're not taking any of that. We're just going to pray like crazy if you get sick. And so, that sounds like a decent argument for the employee, but the Supreme Court is coming down on the side of the company. The Supreme Court is essentially saying, look, there have to be better ways for the Obama administration to impose this concept of birth control, contraception, without violating their religious rights.
So that's what you're saying. So the court is still saying that they can provide it, or they need to provide it. They just have to find a different way. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, I think what it means is that they have to make available certain coverage without basically forcing it down the throat of the employer. If the employer is paying for the Obamacare, the Supreme Court is saying they do not have to put up with something that would violate their religious rights. And as to what the practical solution is I don't think it's clear. We're going to have to take a look at the U.S. Supreme Court decision, but I don't think there's going to be a clear path for somebody, for example, who works for Hobby Lobby and they want the morning after pill. It sounds like they're not going to be able to get it through their employment. Maybe they can get it out of their own pocket, something like that. But this is definitely a decision out of the U.S. Supreme Court in favor of religious freedom for companies and against the full implementation of Obamacare to the extent it included all kinds of contraceptives, including the morning after pill. 7:22 the time here on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Royal Oaks in for Doug McIntyre.